talked to Tony White this week. And, I asked him, like, when do you guys get into UTEP? And he goes, that's Coach Rule's call. I mean, you can tell, like, nobody wants to speak on, like,
overall tactical issues.
Like, only one guy. And that's how it should be. But they're, as we said, in the grind of camp right now, and another big week, he did address tackling, was a little not where he wanted it to be, at least in that first scrimmage.
Said it's bugging people. Mm-hmm. It's bothering them. They do a lot of, as Rob Dvorak said, they do a lot of thudding, and then when it goes live, sometimes there's angles, and I don't know, just the way football transpires. Sometimes there's things you just can't really prepare for. You watch it, so you can't fully be prepared sometimes for what's going on. But yeah, he wasn't happy with the tackling. It's on that side of the ball. If I were Tony White, I'd be really careful about not letting your guys think too much of themselves. I mean, they get so much praise. And I say it, and people don't like it when I say I don't really care. They weren't a great defense last year. They were good, not great. I mean, they too many times they couldn't get off the field.
They were statistically good because they saw a lot of poor offenses, but the key situations, and you wrote about these, the run against Iowa that allowed Iowa to essentially win the game.
Huge run.
The plays that Wisconsin
couldn't get him off the field.
The third downs.
Couldn't get him off the field.
I mean,
couldn't get Maryland off the field. You got to get him off the field. I mean, that's a great defense.
Only 14 takeaways
now,
too.
The balance, though, and I'll hear this from people, and it's true. The balance is, think of all the bad positions they were put in. Mm-hmm. It's true. One of the most turnover-plagued offenses in the country. There's only one or two others that were worse. That put them in bad positions. So there is a balance there.
Yeah, and they were able to get out of it. I mean, a lot of bend but don't break moments.
Yeah, that
they were able to win in those situations. But yeah, the turnovers, for this team to take a step forward, they have to force more turnovers.
Yeah,
that's how you win games.
Commit fewer and force more. That's what does rules say? They want to be +7. They want to go from -17 to +7. I'll tell you what, if they go +7 with this group of players, they could win 9 games. I mean, it'd be a huge swing if they go +7.
I mean, the fact they won 5 with not taking the ball away all that much and giving the ball away at an alarming rate. I mean, that shows you just where this team is right now. Yeah. So if you even moderately balance that out a little bit, you're going to be in a good spot.
Oh,
and
just even.
Yeah, and to your point, Sean, I don't read too much into White's comments about the tackling, because I agree. I think that you can't just be like, oh, we're just talk about how good you are. You got to find ways to constantly push your guys to be better. And if you publicly call them out on tackling, what's the new focus going to be all week? Mm-hmm. Tackling.
Yep.
We also heard from James Williams this week, and it's the first time, to my knowledge, he's been on the big stage. I think he's done some side interviews, but it was interesting to see him, a very confident guy, in this program moving forward. And I know Sipple's been accused of being like the head of the James Williams,
his
agent.
Yeah, it all stems from a conversation, and Terrence Knight, I don't think would mind me saying it, that I had with Terrence in Belton, Texas, when we were just standing.
You rode that conversation all the way to August.
But it was striking to me what he was saying about James Williams, that not just like he might be one of the better players on the defense, not just a pass rusher.
The way he carried himself, though, I mean, in terms of players that have spoke on the podium, Gabe Irvin Jr. might be the only other one, and Ty Robinson, I'd say, is pretty good up there. But for a guy that's never done that before, I'm like, God, this guy carries himself like he knows he's going to be a player.
What was he like, Rob? I didn't see it.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like a guy that it was his first time doing that, but he didn't seem all that uncomfortable. In fact, he had some pretty good analogies. He described Terrence Knighton's that group compared it to like a repertoire of a pitcher, how every player was a different pitch. He referred to himself as the cutter. He ran out of baseball pitches because he's not a huge baseball guy. So the analogy only went so far, but that's the kind of
it was a great
thinker
I had my
that
back
he was
to the action, because I was writing, but I heard him. Mm-hmm. It was an incredible analogy that he just ran out of pitches.
And he had a really good answer to a question about kind of the future of post-grad camps, which he made Nebraska's roster through. Just kind of talking about the new evolution of roster maxes and all that stuff. Like, will those opportunities even be available in the next couple of years? And he talked about how disappointed it was. I think he said disheartening, and almost kind of was a bit critical of the NCAA for allowing it to get to this point and guys like him that didn't take a normal path to get to this level might not have that path available in a few years because of all these roster changes they're making.
Wow.
Yeah, we still don't really know what that's all going to look like in the future as far as the roster movement goes.
He's got a great point, though. I mean, think about those two players, Jalen Gramstad and James Williams, wouldn't have had the opportunity probably. And they're both great stories.
Well, John Hull, they just added him.
John Hull. Yeah.
Makai Nelson Butler.
Yeah.
It was also notable that Williams is up to 250 pounds now. He said he ended last season at 228 as a Big Ten defensive end. So he's been like, that's been his ultimate focus all offseason.
Well, you want to
changing his body.
Yeah, because they want him to be a three-down player, play the run.
So 22 pounds of muscle this offseason.
And you heard Prince Will say last year at 230, he had a hard time playing the run at 230.
Williams described it as on every play, he had to use 100% of his energy and effort. Whereas a guy like Ty Robinson, just because of how strong and naturally gifted he was, is using like 80.
These are really informative. It was really informative to listen to those guys. Informative to listen to Prince Will say at 230, you can't set the edge. It's hard.
He's 245 now.
Yeah, you just get hammered around in this league. Jamari Butler was the same way. Now he's 260. It'll be a different world for him on Saturdays now. You just get thrown around too much in this league. You could go into the Sun Belt at 230 and set the edge just fine. You can't do it in the Big Ten.
Nope.
It's a pro league.
It is. It's the closest thing there is to a pro league. And I mean that more than the SEC. The size is different.